3, 2, 1.
Yo, I feel like saying yo, but that's a Willie thing, even though he's not with us anymore. Bless his heart. I still don't want to take the man's gimmick, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm the exec consultant, or I give you the executive consultant today. Why? Because it's one of my favorite lines for one of my favorite pay-per-views, the Survivor Series, the fourth, actually the second longest running pay-per-view. People know that. But the fourth largest pay-per-view WWE presents each and every single year, if you don't include Crown Jewel. But hey, don't come alone. Never do. Always use your bring a woman. Here's Wrestling Doll with you, or with me and you, to bring sense to you tonight. How you doing, Wrestling Doll? Long time no see. I feel like we haven't seen you since Crown Jewel.
It's been a minute, but I've been doing pretty good, thanks. Just busy working and going to shows every now and then, filming, just doing my thing.
Speaking of which, you went around this past weekend. You know, I didn't have my good side recorded. What was going on?
Well, I was at another show, so.
Oh, cheating. Okay. All right. Hey, we got somebody else for you. Let's go ahead and go down the line and let's bring in the Grand Poobah. What's going on?
Hey, you said something earlier. You said Willie's no longer with us. Did he die? Like, what happened here? It's pretty grim.
What's up, Stream Omelets?
Hi.
You said no, Willie is still alive and kicking.
Okay.
And he's trying to make a comeback to Unpopular Review next year. And we'll see how that happens. I don't know. He said something like he's about to get stationary. He's going to have everything he needs. He's going to do it. He's going to do it big. He's upset he's not going to take part of our end of year review show, an award show. Speaking of which, we got to start preparing for
that. I was even going to mention that about you, and all the stuff about the positions about Willie was not needed. So let's bring in the next guest.
All right, bringing in King Knox. What's going on?
What's going on, everybody?
Nice to hear you.
What's going on? Y'all know who it is. We're here. I'm with you, Chris. I love the Survivor Series. I've been a fan of it since its inception. The concept of it being around Thanksgiving. I'm glad that it's after Thanksgiving this year, but it's still right there. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about this. When you said top fives, I know I'm on a lot of shows around here, so a lot of times I try to back off, but this one I just couldn't use for Survivor Series. I came running, so I'm excited to see what's going on. What's going on, everybody? Wrestling Doll, Grand Poobah.
The Survivor Series match, I think, is a very underrated match. It actually could be very exciting. Now, granted, I don't think it really adds any feuds like that, adds too many feuds, but a lot of times it's just a good break and a good pause, and it's brought so many good moments. The pay-per-view or PO Live event, as you have it, itself has brought in a lot of wrestlers. You know, I mentioned the Undertaker reference because the Undertaker debuted the Survivor Series. The Rock debuted the Survivor Series, as well as Kurt Angle. Those are three GOATs right there, ladies and gentlemen. Three GOATs. Kurt Angle, The Rock, and the Undertaker all debuted at Survivor Series. Now, granted, I don't think Rocky Maivaia's debut was as memorable, but because it was still The Rock, we do.
What you mean? He's a blue chipper. It was a great.
When people remember The Rock, they remember his starting point for most people is when he turned and became a member of the nation, or when he offered them Rolex watches and then turned on Farouk or something like that. Whichever way you want to say. Pancake.
Rocky Maivia wasn't really memorable at all. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned all these debuts, and it was funny because as King Knox was mentioning how he was excited about this, I was like, man, I really need to think about this list. He said, you're thinking about it too hard. So I was scanning through some of these other matches that I've saw throughout the years and try to put my top five together. And one debut, because the debut I thought was tremendous. His run, not so much. Sting debuted at Survivor Series 2014. And it was great. And I remember us talking, and I remember us even laughing on how Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins was laying there for like a whole, 5-10 minutes or something like that. Maybe it was 5.
One of them's.
In between that time, give or take, probably.
Yeah, and it was amazing, too, because when I watched that match back, it was amazing how they were laid out. And then when Dolph Ziggler heard his music, he was like, oh, yeah, right, I'm a wrestler. So I thought that was, like, pretty comical. But I can't wait to do this top 5.
Let's get it.
All right, let's go ahead and start into it. We're going to go with our 5th favorite match, Survivor Series match. Now, remember when I say Survivor Series match, I'm not talking about any match in Survivor Series, which has had some good one-on-one matches and tag team matches and so forth and so forth. I think there was a Hell in a Cell that happened in 2007 between Batista and The Undertaker. So there's been a lot of good matches. However, we're talking about the actual traditional 5-on-5 elimination style Survivor Series match in this one. And I'm interested in hearing ours. I'm interested in hearing all of you all's. Let's get right down to it. Ladies first, Wrestling Doll, we're going to start with you. Your number 5 Survivor Series match.
All right, so for my number 5, and I'm going to put this out there for everybody watching, I have been watching the Survivor Series pay-per-views back-to-back repeatedly. However, I had watched up to 2014, so nobody judged me and be like, oh, but the ones from before were way better. So I'm just doing it based on what I've already seen.
You hear that, Michael?
You hear that, executive consultant?
You're looking at me, not him. There you go. But he already knows.
I'm just thankful that you threw that disclaimer out there before you said Imperium. Okay.
Not on my list this time, okay? So we're not going to go there. But anyways, my number 5 would actually be the men's Survivor Series elimination match from 2017. I thought it was a really interesting match. It was one of the ones that was very memorable for me, that I very thoroughly enjoyed. And you really can't go wrong with the number of talents in there, even though from that list, technically only 2 are out. So, but it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I mean, there's not much else I can say about it. The women's match that year was fine, but I preferred the men's match from that one.
Okay, so I actually, believe it or not, I'm drawing a blank from that one. Okay, can you tell me some of the players that were in there, because I'll probably remember from there.
There was Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, Shane McMahon, Cena, Triple H, Bobby Roode. Wow, you are
All
drawing
of those wrestlers?
Yes, all of them were there.
It sounds like you named like 20 wrestlers just now. You sure?
They were 10.
No, she got it down pat. No, she got
I
it.
believe you. I just said I wasn't counting. So okay, that's fine.
It was a lot of names.
Good one. Good way to start off. Wrestling Doll, appreciate that. Grand Poobah, what you got for your number 5?
You know, believe it or not, that was my number 5, and
Ooh.
I picked that. No, really. So when you did it, I was just like, oh, okay. And I honestly went with this one because I thought the star power was great. I think my only problem was I wish it had a little bit more time in this match, because there was a lot of elements here that. So you have a match like Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman. I had to write the names down myself too. Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Triple H. And then SmackDown, you have Shane McMahon, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, and John Cena. I'm like, wow, you have a lot of guys who never got seeing someone like Bobby Roode in the ring with Triple H is something you don't see. So I was really excited about that. And something you was mentioning earlier, EC, was about all these. He got a list. Check him out. All these elements in Survivor Series. Some people you get these different elements, and I think that's what I really liked about this match. This particular one, because you had these different factors in here, and people you get in the ring like Randy Orton, Finn Balor. So I picked that as my number 5. My biggest thing was I wish it had more time. I felt like a lot of eliminations were just like that. Yeah, it was. Like, I saw Finn get eliminated, and then I don't even know how Randy got eliminated. John Cena got eliminated by Finn and Samoa Joe, and the last 2, I remember the last 3 was Braun Strowman, Triple H, with I think Kurt Angle, because then he pedigreed Kurt Angle, then Shane pinned him, and then Shane was the last person standing.
Was the last one. I wasn't a fan of the booking of that match.
Yeah, I that's what I'm saying. Like, the timing, and I guess that it became a little sloppy at the end. But I thought they had the right elements. But I agree with the booking wasn't,
because they just had Braun Strowman destroy pretty much everybody. He was like unstoppable. You had John Cena and Randy Orton on one team.
Do you remember who got the last pin though? Right?
Last pin was Triple H, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he tagged himself in, and then Braun Strowman and Triple H had that moment. Braun's like, "Don't ever do that." So Triple H acted all scared and stuff. One thing I remember when you mentioned it, because now it's starting to come back to me.
Yep.
Because it was 2017.
Yes.
I didn't watch it there. I
2017.
watched it in New York, but I did. But for Wrestling Doll, one of the reasons I hate that match, and I lost memory of that match, is because Ron mentioned it, Triple H and Bobby Roode. You ever seen it, and people were excited because people always used to say Bobby Roode looks like a Triple H guy, right? Then I saw them next to each other, and I said, wow, this is WWE NXT. Because Bobby Roode did not look like he belonged in a ring with Triple H. And I hate to say it like that because I'm a Bobby Roode fan, glorious, all that shit. But when Bobby Roode was standing in the ring with Triple H, I was like, oh, you're not going to make it, bro. It just, you don't look right. And Bobby Roode's career has been on a downward spiral ever since, except for the fact he's a multi-man tag team champion. And he did win the United States Championship, I think, a little after that. But his career did not do as well as I thought it would when he first debuted. Mike Knox, King Knox.
See, I had a Willie moment, right? So coming into the show,
Connection.
because this is what happens with us when we bring up top fives, especially, well, let me rephrase that, us. Just use me as an example. I don't read the fine line. So we're talking traditional Survivor Series top fives of all time, not just Survivor Series matches. Because if we're talking Survivor Series matches, and which one I'm understanding here, there, executive consultant, is matches or the traditional matches? Traditional.
The traditional Survivor Series matches.
Because see, Mr. Bret Hart is, if Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, then Bret Hart is Mr. Survivor Series. And if I could pick solo matches, which was what I was prepared for, but it's fine. I had them both.
No, sorry, my apologies.
I would definitely have 4 of the 5 matches been Bret Hart at Survivor Series. And so because of that, I'm going to keep it. I'm a 92.
92. Yeah, 92.
Right.
And 96, maybe?
96.
96, yeah.
96, yes. So I will go with one of my favorites, which I will still put him in there. And it's a silly one, but I love the rivalry that is these two. To me, they are the oil and vinegar. They are my 2 favorite wrestlers of all time. And that
93.
was the Hart family. I think it was 93.
93.
Okay. Boston, since they're going back to Boston, I think that was also important as well to have this be at number 5. But Bret Hart, Bruce Hart, Keith Hart, Owen Hart with Stu Hart taking on Shawn Michaels. Yeah, it was so corny. That's why I have it at number 5. It still was this rivalry between these guys who even then I loved. Shawn Michaels and his Knights. The Black Knight, the Blue Knight, the Red Knight, and Shawn Michaels. I was highly entertained by that match. I loved it. I enjoyed it. And it was, again, it happened Thanksgiving Day. And, those were the times when Survivor Series was around Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Eve.
Thanksgiving Eve. Okay, it's 25th. Okay. But, feel like, because to me, Thanksgiving is now. Like, in fact, I'm here doing the show. My wife's in there cooking, the kids. I just introduced them to all the gremlins for the first time. And so I love that match. I remember that time. Number 5 for me right there. 93 Survivor Series. And Boston, Bret and the Harts versus Shawn and his Knights. Loved it.
That was actually my first, if I can remember, the first pay-per-view that I actually watched on order. Like
closed caption back then.
Yeah.
Closed circuit. It was
pay-per-view. But that was the first one. Yeah. And that was the first one I remember actually ordering. Yeah. So that holds a special place in my heart, even though when I go back and watch it, it's actually kind of bored. My favorite match was the one, Survivor Series match was the one with like Lex Luger and Undertaker versus Yokozuna and Ludwig Borgen and stuff like that. I didn't particularly care for the Hart one, even though it gave a great story leading into Owen Hart and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10 later the following year. And the funny part about it is that was not supposed to be Shawn Michaels, supposed to be King Lawler. But I forgot what happened. I forgot he got suspended or got injured or something. They had to substitute Shawn Michaels last minute.
But you mentioned something in your opening monologue about Survivor Series. I think Survivor Series does push the storyline envelope.
Okay, and that's fair.
I think that's a lot that goes into Survivor Series. That's what makes it one of the big ones of what it is. A lot of finishes happen in Survivor Series, and a lot of culminations to. You got to think you have your WrestleMania season, then you go into SummerSlam, but the SummerSlam has to continue, and then it culminates a lot of times through that whole entire year at Survivor Series.
And that's fair. That's fair. I just don't think it does all the time like it should. My top 5 would be Andre team and Hogan's team number 5, Raw versus SmackDown 2005, 4, Team Cena versus Authority 2014, WWE versus Alliance 2001, and Ted DiBiase's Team DiBiase versus Team Hart 1990. Here comes Derek. This is going to be long. So after this, we're going to take a commercial break. Best singles match in Survivor Series number 5, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, Survivor Series 1992. What did Mike say? The Undertaker versus Mankind, Survivor Series 1996, underrated match. Bret Hart versus Diesel, Survivor Series 1995. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin 1992. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin 96 was a very good match. Funny. That card that you just did there looks very similar to pretty much the one that Mike Knox was going to put up if we were going to do that particular one.
But I also threw the Rock's winning his title for the first time against Mankind.
1998, if we did the top 5 Survivor Series of all time, 1998 will definitely be in my top 3.
Yeah.
It was a very good Deadly Games.
I missed that. I missed the names of these things. I missed your In Your Houses. I missed everything having a funny name to it.
Well, you know what? They tried to do that, I think, in the pandemic year, and people complained about it. Remember they did Extreme Rules Horror Show or something like that, and then
Yeah, I liked it personally. Just
Yeah,
I like
people
Survivor
can't-
Series War Games.
people can't stand. You like Survivor
It's
Series War
sad.
Games?
I can't wait for War Games this week.
Let's
Can't
go
wait
to
for
number
it.
4. And okay, number 4 is with me, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start it. I'm going to go with something a little bit more recent. So Barbara will know this one. I'm going to go with, let's see if I have it. Okay. This is from some people's top 5 Survivor Series of all time. Once again, recent, 2019. The Wolf Nose. Freak. Wrong one.
Freak.
The
Freak.
women's Survivor Series from 2019. This is actually, that's not it either. This is actually what started my feud.
Are you
with
drunk?
No, I'm not. You're the one drinking.
He's actually not drunk this time.
2019 Triple Threat NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw 2019. This is actually what caused my feud with Rhea Ripley, which is still going on today, because she cheated to beat Sasha Banks at the end, and I told her that following Tuesday NXT, and we got into an argument about it. After Bianca asked to sit down where I was sitting, she asked me to take my seat. She said, "Executive consultant, do you mind?" I said, "Sure, go ahead, Bianca. You're the EST. You're the future of the women's division." But this match, I'm going to say it, and hopefully I don't get canceled. I'm not too big a fan of most of the Survivor Series women's matches. I don't think most of them have been very entertaining. The second closest one that has been entertaining me was the one I think I was telling Ron this was from 2017, ironically, where Asuka came back after like a 3-1 or 4-1 deficit and beat everybody's ass. And I thought that was pretty cool. But besides that, they have not been that entertaining. They've been mostly, here's a fun fact. In the 2016 to 2021 Raw versus SmackDown women's Survivor Series matches, Raw won every single one of them. And they did it
all the time.
Every
I
single
hated
time.
it. I hated it.
I'm like, can y'all get SmackDown boned anytime? And y'all refuse to do that. With men's, they actually won. Raw won most of the time also. But women's, they lost. SmackDown women lost every freaking time. This one time I thought they were going to do it and they gave it to NXT. But it's just been really bad. But this one I thought was very entertaining. I thought it was very well booked, despite Rhea cheating. And I did enjoy it. So it's my number 4. Wrestling though.
Well, as you can already figure out, that's already going to be on my list just a little later.
Shocker.
Yeah, whatever. It was a good match. It was my first Survivor Series match that I've ever seen, so that's why it's up a little higher on my list. But number 4 on my actual list is Survivor Series match from last year, actually. Even though the booking for the most part of last year was kind of iffy here and there, I did enjoy watching the match, the Survivor Series men's match from last year, with Rollins, Balor, Kevin Owens, Theory, and Lashley versus McIntyre, Xavier Woods, Hardy, Corbin, and Sheamus. I know he's looking at me iffy, like, what is wrong with you? But
Isn't that the one where Raw swept them?
Yes, it is the one where Raw swept them and Seth Rollins was the sole survivor. I don't care. It was a decent match. It was a good match, okay? It was entertaining.
It's your
No,
list.
that was
It's
your
your
list.
list.
Wait,
That was
whoa.
what-
Gentlemen. Let her get the floor. Shut up. Go ahead, Wrestling Dog.
All I said was it's her list.
Yeah, he said the same thing. Also.
Yes, and Mike was saying that it's my list, my opinion, which I do appreciate.
King
But yes,
Knox.
I did enjoy this match. I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, it was funny watching Jeff Hardy and Sheamus work together for like 5 seconds, and then Sheamus realized, oh wait, I can't stand you. I'm gonna whoop your ass, and then I'm gonna leave you behind because I don't give 2 shits about you. And then before we knew it, Seth Rollins won the whole thing, which I did not expect, but it was a good match.
It was all right. But the match I was thinking of was 2020's men, where they swept them. Like, nobody lost on the Raw side, but everybody smacked us side lost. It bothered me. Go ahead, Grand Cooper.
I just want to say real quick, I love it when you call me Grand Poobah. Hey.
I will not call you that again.
No, you're gonna keep saying that. I won't acknowledge you unless you say something. We have for my number 4 here, and once again, me and the executive was talking, and he made me just look back at some matches and stuff like that to make this top 5. I'm looking, as you see me staring this way, it's just because I'm staring at a list. I'm not being weird or nothing. But I put for shut up. Survivor Series 2014, Authority against Team Cena. Now, this wasn't necessarily like a favor of mine or nothing like that. I thought the match was okay, but really it was just for the moment. And for me, when it was the big reveal about, and I remember for the last week or two, they were like, Sting signed with WWE. He signed with WWE. I said, I'll believe it when I see it. And, the night is going on, all this stuff. They're doing some Survivor Series stuff. Then we get to the main event. We get this elimination match. And at first, you're sitting there going like, I got to sit here and say, Team Cena had Big Show, right? The first, 10 seconds, he decked Mark Henry. He just punched him and pinned him. I said, oh, Big Show, that's all you have to do. But, Big Show can't help himself. He got to turn. He got to turn. He got to do the twisty turn. He turns on Team Cena. Cena gets eliminated. We're like, oh, how will Team Cena do without Cena? It's like, like if Captain America wasn't on that team when Civil War, the other guys would have got smoked. I'm just going to say that. They would have got smoked. But Dolph Ziggler's like, and it was cool because it really got me excited about Dolph Ziggler because it looked like they were going to do something with him. LOL. And, yeah. Team Cena won. I thought it was a pretty solid match, but like I said, for me, it was the moment seeing Sting come back. Not come back. I'm sitting here lying. I don't mean to lie to you folks, but Sting debuts. He does some Sting stuff. He does some Vindilanchi stuff, and I thought it was pretty cool. So that's gonna be my number 4. 2014 Survivor Series Authority against Team Cena, and like I said, I was kind of stoked because I thought they were gonna really do something with Dolph, and for a little bit they did, and then things happen. So, number 4.
Number 4 for me, again, holds a special place in my heart. It's 1991 Survivor Series. It's nothing like having Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan just talking. It's like hearing Joe Madden and on Thursdays, Thanksgiving as well. It's just I'm iconic with those voices when it comes to Survivor Series and Bobby the Brain Heenan, those guys that he brought in. I always loved this match. I remember looking back thinking how it was an unfair advantage of a Survivor Series. You had Ric Flair, you had the Mountie, Ted DiBiase, and the Warlord with Mr. Perfect and Jimmy Hart and Sensational Sherry and Harvey Whippleman all at ringside. Okay, take it on Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, freaking Virgil with British Bulldog, but it actually was a good match and entertaining. And believe it or not, this match had so many legends, so many guys that were just good. And Ric Flair coming to WWE at this time, this was new. You know what I mean? And I just never forget that Survivor Series match. That's my number 4 right there, 1991 Survivor Series. And also, I think that was HH versus Undertaker for the title.
Hulk Hogan versus it was. I had to say that out loud. I know you don't like references. That year was the when Undertaker won the title.
And he tombstoned him on the chair and everything like that.
Yeah, Flair brought it in there. He tombstoned him on the chair, and then he went.
And it's funny. I watched that match back some years back or whatever because I didn't watch it live at the time. But looking back at it, that was a pretty cool spot because I think he tombstoned him and he kicked out obviously because HH.
What year were you born in?
I was born in 88.
Oh, okay, so you were like 3.
Yeah. I was.
Of course, you didn't watch it.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. Hey, there's people younger than you. Sorry.
I know. I have kids.
Yeah, I know.
I watched it scrambled, if that makes sense.
Who?
It was scrambled. So it was on pay-per-view, but it was scrambled, and I didn't want to order it, but I could still hear it. They scrambled it.
Listen, I watched a lot of.
That's how I used to watch my pay-per-views. And yeah, exactly what Mike's doing is how you look like, oh, I think I see it close. And
you would tell your friends you saw that pay-per-view and you ordered it because you did watch it, you did hear it, everything. You just didn't, it wasn't clear. You're just sitting there.
What's going on, Crazy Joe? But it was entertaining. Now,
go Birds!
The match you said was entertaining. The 2014 one that bad guy Jack Dyer said. I'll talk more about that soon. But let me tell you something. There was a lot of nitpicking I could do in that match. So we go through our number. 100 horses. We're just going to go straight to. Let me talk about our number 3. Y'all doing the challenge tonight?
No.
All right. You are. By yourself? With Cap? Okay. So, number 3 is, I already put up the picture. It was by accident, but let's put it up there. My number 3 is a very good match to me. It was the first ever of the new era, anyway. Raw versus SmackDown 5-on-5 elimination match, not chamber match. Survivor Series match. Listen to these names: Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens versus Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, and one Baron Corbin. It's sad that Baron Corbin is the only one of these 10 people who've never held a world championship, right? That's sad because I'm a big fan of Baron Corbin, but he hasn't. But he was still.
Wait, that's incorrect. That's 2016. You said, right?
Right.
Baron Corbin wasn't in that match. That was Shane McMahon.
Right. It should have been Baron Corbin. So if you go ahead and look at it, you're right though. I didn't think about it when I first saw that. I just saw the picture and posted it. But you're
Don't
right.
you hate when you do that? You're like, you idiots. You make me look like an idiot because I'm doing an idiot's job by taking this picture.
I would have done the same thing, so I'm glad he did it. But Shane McMahon, but still not the world champion. But I think at that time Baron Corbin was in such a role, it should have been him. But anyway, either way you look at it, if this match from bell to bell, I always say that about stuff. From bell to bell, I thought it was very exciting. Never had a dull moment. Had a Shield reunion, so to speak. Had people betraying each other. It was a train wreck. I loved every single. It was a little bit long. Ron reminded me of that. I remember that. It was a little bit long. I feel like it was like 50 minutes, if I remember correctly, for the runtime. But it was very entertaining almost that entire time. Shane McMahon almost got killed, if I remember, from a spear jumping off a rope. It was just a very good match. I loved it. It's actually one of my favorite ones. If you ask me them all, it could be number one. And that's just the honest truth. Wrestling Dog, you number 3.
All right. So for my number 3, switching it up just a teeny bit, I'm going to go with the women's Survivor Series match from 2018 with Nia Jax, Mickie, Tamina, Sasha, and Bayley versus Asuka, Naomi, Carmella, Sonya, and Mandy. It was one of the other first ones that I did watch, and I was very entertained by it, especially seeing the sole survivor that was Asuka take down what could have been hopeless with Nia Jax, basically. But you can never, well, you can't really necessarily go wrong with a good women's match, but it was one of the ones that I did enjoy from that pay-per-view, I will say, and the one that the consultant did say would be one of my top 10 for sure. I did enjoy that one too. It's just not on my top 5 list. But at least it's in my top 10, so he can't say anything bad about that.
Sure. Bad job.
We're up to number 3, right?
Yep.
So for my number 3, I had to go with Survivor Series 2019. Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, the males. My only nitpick was I didn't like the selection of the people on the teams. That was my biggest thing. I was like, I would have replaced this person with this person, that person, whatever. I won't go through a whole deep analysis about that. But I thought this was great because I was happy that NXT was being featured. Up to that point, I was so excited that NXT was being featured because to me, up to that point, NXT was not the third brand. I understand everyone's going to still say, oh, it's the third brand, developmental, all that stuff. But to me, it wasn't. It wasn't. I was like, these dudes can stick up with the best of them. And even though they didn't win, I thought the moment where you have Keith Lee, Roman Reigns, those are the last two. And I was at the it was an awesome moment. And I remember being at the bar out here in New York. Chris, the executive consultant, apologies. He knows what I'm talking about because we were all there. And when Keith Lee hit that spirit bomb, for a moment I said, nah, is he really going to pin Roman? It really was believable. Doesn't get the pin, gets speared, he gets dominated because that's what Roman does. He just dominates people. Gets the win, but it made NXT still look pretty damn strong because Raw was all wiped out. NXT came in second because they were the second team to be eliminated, and obviously SmackDown won. So I really enjoyed that because it gave NXT that rub and made it feel like they could be up to par with the main brand because a lot of people did not watch NXT like that. They heard of it and stuff, but didn't watch it like that. So I thought that was a really cool moment, and that's my number 3.
When we make these lists, I get mad when we have the same ones in the same spots, not the same actually matches in the orders, but when you have them at the same number, like you had 5 with Wrestling Doll, that was my number 3 because for me, it was something different. It was something fresh. It was showing you, like you said, that this third brand can rock with the big boys. And I think the comment was just there, though, that did make Keith Lee a star in that moment. Too bad, he couldn't stop eating McDonald's and he stopped being one. But at that time, he was supposed to be that guy. But Roman, Mustafa Ali, Braun Strowman, King Corbin. I'm a Corbin guy myself. Shorty G, that's my guy. I missed that name from him. But Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Ricochet. But your NXT's team, let's be real here. You had Damian Priest. All right, yeah, just keep it right
We
there.
had Damian Priest, Matt Riddle,
Matt Riddle. At the
Yeah.
time, I wasn't a big. At the time, I wasn't a big Riddle guy. So,
Walter.
and I've never been big on Tommaso Ciampa personally. I've always liked Walter. I've never been big on Tommaso Ciampa. So, but that's just me. But I still was happy to see these guys get their comeuppance, and I love that Survivor Series. I'm getting something different, and it was one of those moments where you feel like did Vince just throw him a bone? Is Triple H doing that good that they let this happen on this pay-per-view? And, and it was just good how they invaded and everything that the whole leading up to it. It was just amazing to see, and I love that. That's my number 3 as well. Is that 2019 executive consultant?
We have here Team SmackDown versus Team Raw and Team NXT from 2019. Most iconic teams: 1990 Demolition, Mr. Perfect versus Legion of Doom, Texas Tornado, Ultimate Warrior. Number 4, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown tag teams. Number 3, Team Bischoff versus Team Austin, 2003. Number 2, Team Cena versus Team Authority, 2014. And number 1, Team WWE versus Team Alliance, 2001. Here's a funny thought. Number 2, 2019 Men's Survivor Series match is my pick. You have, and I quote, no, this is not right. Is this right? This can't be right.
No,
Yes,
that's
that's
not.
right.
That's not the right
That's
people.
not right because Ricochet.
No.
That's not right.
That's
No.
not right. Just
Because
take
Adam
that
Cole
for
wasn't
that.
on the team.
Don't trust Google, so we're not going to do that. But the bottom line is, this was once again.
So,
This was a good match from bell to bell. I remember the excitement of watching it. That was a very good weekend, not for nothing. And I don't like 2 mile horn. Not for 2 mile horn, 2-2. I was in New York. We were at the bar, myself, Ron, Steve, the guys. We were there, and it was a very good weekend. We were there for War Games, which was very good PLE before that, the night before that, and we were there for Survivor Series. And honestly speaking, this was the one time during that Takeover era where even though Takeover was fire, right? I said Survivor Series beat him. And this is what, and the reason I said the Survivor Series beat him was actually one of the reasons for that match. The main event wasn't good, and I thought it should have been the triple threat women's.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, that wasn't
But
the best part of it.
besides that, Survivor Series 2019, in my opinion, was WWE's best pay-per-view of that year. And this is one of the reasons why. That match was very entertaining from beginning to thing. I liked when Mike used the word fresh. That's how it felt.
Hmm.
It was fresh, but with the twist of tradition because you still put it in that traditional Survivor Series match. Here's a fun fact. My number 3 pick and my number 2 pick, 2016, 2019 men's, were the only ones SmackDown won. And I really thought SmackDown was about to lose because they made Keith Lee look like a freaking monster. At the end, you could tell Roman even looked at him like, okay, you can go a little, And then, ironically, 2 months later, Keith Lee in the Royal Rumble, and he's like, oh, big motherfucker. That was Brock Lesnar. So I was like, I really thought they were going to push big Keith Lee to the moon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as Mr. Knox down there says, the only place he got pushed to was McDonald's, and that's unfortunately is what messed him up. So, I'm sorry. I mean, he's doing okay in AEW right now, but it's just almost like Velveteen Dream, how much of a trajectory he had that was stopped because they really made him look like a star in that. And everybody looked like a star, except for Gunther. Everybody looked like a star in that match.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Gunther got eliminated like the first 2 minutes.
He did. He
He's
got
on
eliminated
record
from
saying
the-
if he knew he was going to get eliminated like that, he would never even came over and did that.
And
It's
not for
supposed to be a
nothing,
bigger
and not
deal.
for nothing. I didn't mean to cut you off. Not
No,
for
go ahead.
nothing. Walter really got a good reaction because when he came out there, the people chanted, and he even looked surprised, like, "Oh, look, they know my name." Like, I didn't understand that. I thought that was poor.
Yeah, but that comment in which he made is an asinine comment. You get paid to do a job, you don't come, you get fired, you get fined. Stop being a fucking pansy.
Well, he
and come
did.
show up for work. All right,
He
but you
did
said
it.
if he didn't know that was going to happen, so what? That happened.
But he still would have did it. I mean, he's not
So
Sasha
what?
Banks.
That's your
But
job.
he didn't do it. But I will say that even Mike mentioned Shorty G. He wasn't in there as long as you would hope he would be in there, but he was in there for a good while. And they actually did give him some spots where it made him look strong. He was going on a rolling German suplex tear for a good minute there. So I've always respected Shorty G, who actually is getting a big push in the last year. People don't pay attention. He's been on Raw.
He's been on TV a lot. I got to credit
Single
that.
week.
Yeah.
Shorty
He's been on
G.
TV.
And he is on him and his team, besides the Usos, his and Otis were the team that actually defeated RK Bro for those tag team titles. They lost it again back to him, but they actually beat RK Bro because they trusted them because they do such a great job. Chad Gable is solid in that ring, and he's great on the mic. And I'll always take time to praise Chad Gable. But my number 2 is 2019 Men's Survivor Series, which also you asked me tomorrow or something the other day can be number 1. Go ahead.
True story interview with Chad Gable on my way to Orlando for the first time for WrestleMania. What was that? The last WrestleMania was here. I don't know my numbers. And when the WWE calls, you gotta do the interview. So it was supposed to be in a different time. I literally had to pull over on the highway driving to Florida to do the interview because I was not going to miss a chance to interview Mr. Jack Cable. So one of my worst interviews, by the way. But what you got number 2 there, Miss Barbara?
Well, my number 2, it was mentioned earlier, and it's not just because of the match itself, but because of the moment that when Mr. Sting came out and debuted and basically gave Dolph Ziggler the win. 2014 Survivor Series match with Team Cena versus Team Authority. I put this one up higher than some people probably would, mainly because of the storyline that was happening. That kept me very entertained. The moment with Sting and Triple H facing each other off, that had me on the edge of my seat. I was like, what is he going to do? And then when he attacked him, and then when he pretty much gave Dolph the win, I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good Survivor Series match, even though a couple of them think, well, that was a good Survivor Series pay-per-view, in my opinion. But I enjoyed this one more so for the storyline and for the entertainment aspect of it. There were good spots here and there in it, but I like it more for the comedy bit that, well, yeah, seemed like comedy bit, but more so the story, the entertainment. 2014 Men's Survivor Series match for me.
Poobah.
Thank you. You have respect for the Poobah. Don't be a poo,
Or a
EC.
bah.
No,
Yeah,
it'd be.
I said he was not going to say it. I was going to wait for you to go.
I love when he always get ready to laugh. It always sounds like there's a cough about to happen. Like there's always a cough prepared. Yeah, probably there is. For my number 2, and great job, Wrestling Doll. For my number 2, I went with Survivor Series 2003. I see H-Man in the chat. What's going on, H-Man? He's fantastic. He's part of the Jetpack community. Also, EC, people want Jetpack community merch, so let's make that a thing. So for Survivor Series 2003, you're just a hater because you don't have merch. But I got Team Austin against Team Eric Bischoff. Some H-Man said in the chat, he said Dolph Ziggler gave the performance of a lifetime. Honestly, I gotta say Shawn Michaels in this match gave the performance of a lifetime here. I remember watching this match years ago, obviously because in 2003. And I remember watching this match, and you know, it was a little back and forth for a minute. Austin seemed like he had the lead, and then Team Bischoff. But then there was a period where Team Bischoff took over. And then they had like a 3-1 lead, and it was just Michaels there. And, you know, you have this story here where Austin, when he was putting people on his team, he picked Michaels to be on his team. And Michaels at first was kind of like, I don't know, because you were the last guy I faced. You beat me. Then I went into retirement. But, yeah, I'll join you. Sure, whatever. Let me tell you the people that Team Austin had. He had Booker T, who is tremendous in NXT.
Yes, he is.
He is who?
King Booker.
This man is so amazing. Like the man said, Dodger Gover, and he was like, "Who? Like, who is this man? Is that a sandwich?" But Booker T, Dudley Boys, RVD, and Shawn Michaels, which I gotta say, a team with RVD and Shawn Michaels just sound phenomenal. Like it just really good. It's almost unfortunate. Real quick, if I can say this. They had that one match, and it kind of bothers me that they didn't have other matches together. Like I just felt like there could have been magic there, but I was growing up, to take Mike Knox's word. I was an RVD guy, and in Team Bishop we have Chris Jericho, Christian, Mark Henry, Scott Steiner, and Randy Orton. We sound like a team of a bunch of angry individuals. And I thought this match was good. And then when it got to the 3-on-1 and Shawn Michaels, I forget who the other people were. I think it was Jericho. I think eliminate Christian first, then it was Jericho. And then Jericho got back in because Jericho is such a sore loser, right? He's Canadians. Canadians are sore losers. Comes into the ring, smacks Shawn Michaels with a chair. So then you're like, oh, come on. They're going to win like this. Shawn Michaels kicks out because this was before a time where everyone was kicking out of everything. You know, like they knew how to story tell because now these days you get someone a chair and just – I digress. Angry man yelling at the clouds, right? But Shawn Michaels kicks out. And then it looks like, and he's making this comeback, and it's coming believable. Shawn Michaels has the bloody face; he's bleeding. Such great storytelling, and it's almost and it gets heartbreaking because I forget every little detail of this match. It's been a long time. Shawn Michaels is the super kick. Somehow Eric Bischoff gets involved or something like that. Randy Orton tries to make a comeback. Stone Cold hits the stunner, and it's looking like Michaels is going to win because the thing with this match was that if Stone Cold's team won, he was going to be like a full-time GM, I believe that's what it was. And if he lost, he was fired. But Batista comes in. Batista was huge at this point, 6'3", 285 pounds or something like that. Hits the Batista bomb, and it's so heartbreaking when Randy Orton gets the pin. Shawn Michaels put his heart and blood in this match. It was such a damn good match because it was such a great storytelling. It's such great storytelling to Shawn. I'm a Bret Hart guy. I will never forgive Shawn Michaels for Montreal, but I will have to give it to the Heartbreak Kid, who was very arrogant because he still comes out to Sexy Boy because you can't be sexy at 50. Stop that. You know it's over. You can't do that unless you're Brad Pitt. Yeah,
You
it
guys
was a good
know
match.
that are 50 that could be sexy. Not gonna name any right now because I can't think of any, but it can happen.
Exactly, wrestling doll.
Just saying.
But that's my top two.
On my
That's
head
mine.
right
That's number 2.
Y'all said a lot. The one with Sting and that moment with Triple H real fast to go back on that. I wasn't too particular, like looking back. Just when I knew I was a wrestling mark. And again, shout out to the wrestling marks of excellence, nephew Corey, Dr. D, and those guys. Because why are Sting and Triple H going at it? But that's what they had, and I didn't care. It was Sting and WB. So I love that moment. But for me, another one, because I'm a Shield guy. Gotta say it. He said it. I'm gonna take it back. The Shield. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Antonio Cesaro, and Jack Swagger, baby. Oh, I love those guys. I love that team. Took on Cody Rhodes, Goldust, Rey Mysterio, and the Usos. The match was insane. It was good wrestling. It was good entertainment. Again, it happened in Boston. That's my number 2, just to make up for time. What you got there, number 1 there, executive consultant?
Anybody remember my number 5?
You kind of rolled it off into something and left it, and I was going to say something, but you went, and I thought I didn't want to be the one thought that I missed it, so I let it go.
I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't remember talking about it. So I'm going to mention it real quick because I really don't think I talked about it.
Wasn't it the Women's Survivor Series?
No, that was my number 4. So my number 5 is 2005, the initial Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series match, which was a team led by JBL versus a team led by Shawn Michaels, really. But
Was
Team
JBL
Raw
the leader? I don't think
JBL was the leader. Randy Orton was also a part of this team. You know, this is when SmackDown was clearly the B show. But JBL was all team SmackDown. It was the first time they really did the
Wait, no. Wasn't Batista? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you because Batista was on that team. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't
Batista was on the Raw team.
No, he was on SmackDown.
You're right. He was on the SmackDown team because he kept getting jumped by Big Show and King.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Got choked up through a car.
Also on the team. Bobby Lashley was also on the team. Rey Mysterio was on the team. It was a star-studded team on both sides, and it was really good. And I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed the commentary during the match because Vince said, "Just go ahead and go at it." And he let Raw and SmackDown commentary both be on at the same time. They were just. And Michael Cole just went crazy. He's like, "I'm sick of getting no respect." It was just a great time, leading to one of the Undertaker's many returns when he came out of a burning casket, came in and chokeslammed a whole bunch of jobbers. It was just a good time. So I wanted to mention that. Also, of course, has some honorable mentions. Okay. Some of these is because I just want to mention because it was a good time. I went to this one in 2009 in Washington, D.C. I mentioned Iran earlier. It was a traditional. A lot of people sleep on this. They forget about it, but it was an exciting match with Kofi Kingston when he was getting in the middle of his push before the stupid era. And I really did enjoy it, so I wanted to mention that real quickly. 2006 was prelude to this fun match where CM Punk was really over. It was in Philadelphia. And all 5 members survived, and all 5 members of co-captains Arita RKO were eliminated. And I thought it was a good point. And I'm going to mention this match because I'm going to shit on it. It's an honorable mention. As mentioned a couple times, it's a very overrated match to me, and it's because of a moment that I think people like, and that's when Sting came out. But as I mentioned around yesterday, the moment is overshadowed by Dolph Ziggler falling asleep, right? Triple H giving the blueprint to Thor of he comes in and just eliminates everybody because he just comes in and he just God modes everybody in the ring. Like, what the hell did you even need a team for if you're going to do this? They added the element of the team authority getting eliminated, having to disband or something if John Cena's team wins, and then John Cena's team win, and then Team 30 comes back like 4 weeks later. So that kind of negate everything for me.
The thing was if John Cena's team lost, then the Authority lost, then Stephanie and Triple H wouldn't be like at the top like they were.
Correct. They would have to be off air and not running things. And they had this big crying scene at the end, right? Of the show.
They did.
And then 4 weeks later, they came back. And that shit pissed me the fuck up. I never liked them that whole year. They were boring to me, right? So I was happy they were off air. And then they're back 4 weeks later, right? Couldn't stand that. And I liked Sting coming out. I didn't like Sting coming out, staring down a fresh Triple H, kicking him in the groin, and then just going around the ring with him like this, waiting for a Scorpion Death Drop before he just took Dolph Ziggler's sleeping ass. Shut up. Before putting Dolph Sleeper's ass on Seth Rollins to get pinned. It just pissed me the fuck off. Anyway, I just want to mention that. My number one, which can change tomorrow. But my number one, everybody should get, it should be everybody's number one in my opinion if they haven't mentioned it yet, and it hasn't been mentioned yet. And that is from 2001, Team WWE versus the Team Alliance. Listen to these stars: Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kane, Undertaker, Big Show, Rock, and Chris Jericho. Once again, 9 former world champions. Honestly, 9 GOATs outside of Rob Van Dam. I'm sorry. You're a big guy. I mean, you're a big fan, but you're not a GOAT. But anyway, that match from beginning to end. I told Ron there's a little bit of dull period there for 5 minutes, but still, when you think about the ramifications of this pay-per-view, which a lot of people say is in the end of the Attitude Era, if you think about the names in this, it's hard to beat it. Team Alliance, Team WWE, 2001. That's my number one.
Well, he obviously already knows who I'm picking for number one because I had already mentioned I was going to talk about it before, but it was the very first Survivor Series match I'd ever watched. Yes, from 2019 with Team Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. I was very thoroughly entertained with the match, with the spots that they did, the storylines that happened throughout all of it. And I was very thoroughly impressed with, even though he says that she cheated, which, hey, the stuff like that's going to happen in these pay-per-views, regardless who it is. But with Rhea Ripley in the match, not to mention less than 24 hours ago, she and Candice LeRae were the only two in War Games fighting off a team of 4 because the Dakota Kai beat the crap out of Tegan Nox and got them both basically thrown out of there. But it was one of the matches that I was like, I fell in love with Rhea, with Bianca, with Asuka, with Kairi Sane, with Io, with Sasha, with Carmella. And I did like Natalya. I didn't fall in love with her, but I did like Natalya. And there was a whole bunch of people that were in there that I did like. And I did like Toni Storm there too. And just like with Survivor Series 2019 with the men's side, which is another one that I did thoroughly enjoy. That's my honorable mention. 4 of the 5 on Team NXT are now on the main roster.
Oh, it's the Grand Poobah's turn.
It is.
First off, let's give a round of applause for Wrestling Doll because she did homework for this. Like, she legit watched all these different Survivor Series matches just so she could be prepared for this. Because, you know, we have people who are very rude here.
H-Man, don't be a hater. Yes, she was. She was.
H-Man, no. Don't talk to that.
You got muted.
Who did that?
It wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you. I don't know who did that. That's rude. Don't do that. I have pull here. How dare you? My number one here. Let's do this right here. H-Man's with me, by the way. He's very respectful. He's part of the Jetpack community. Shout out to H-Man. H-Man, I see you. Open the door. We're going to kick someone out. I don't know when. Who. Number one for me is, it was already mentioned earlier. I forget who mentioned it because I wasn't paying attention. But Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown, 2016. I really like this match. I hear a lot of people, there's a lot of complaints about this. When I was making, you complained about this match.
No, I said it.
You said it. I was talking to EC yesterday. You know, he hit me up and stuff like that. And he was like, yo, Grand Poobah, you're great, right? Boom. So that's what he said. That's exactly, that's real talk. And we talked about the 2016 Survivor Series match. And I remember thinking how much I really liked this match. I know a lot of people complain how long it was, but look who you got in here. You have Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman. On the SmackDown show, you have Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, Bray Wyatt. I don't know why I just put Bray. I must have got really lazy and didn't feel like texting all that. But Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. And I thought you had a really good cast of people in this match. It gave a lot of people time. And one of the things I really liked about this match, and I know every other Survivor Series match had this, but with this one, so like on Raw, right? Roman Reigns was feuding with someone like Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. I kind of like that there was a storyline where you got to be a team, but you obviously there's this animosity between each other. On SmackDown, Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles could not get along. Matter of fact, AJ Styles got Dean Ambrose eliminated. He didn't care. And then we had this very cool moment. And you felt that, you kind of felt it was going to happen. I don't know when I picked it up, like watching it live. It might have been when they had Dean Ambrose and they would push him to the side. And you see Seth and Roman look at each other. And the crowd erupts because they're like, chill. They probably didn't even say that. Maybe it was the bar I was at. Ellsworth was there too. Yeah, let's throw that out. Ellsworth was there. Yeah. And it was so cool.
Moment, especially when he got Braun Strowman eliminated.
Oh, that was great. That was a long storytelling because they had that match on Raw and Braun destroyed him. Ellsworth gets him eliminated. It's amazing because I think I have more muscle on my arm than Ellsworth, and he was able to stop Braun from getting in the ring. Like that was ridiculous. That was really, really ridiculous. But I thought this match was great. The show reunion was great. And at the end, we have Luke Harper comes out and help Bray and Randy take out Roman because it took a missile to take out Roman Reigns. Like Roman Reigns at that point was John Cena. So like it took a lot to take him out. And I just thought that this match was great. I didn't bother me that this match was so long. Because I just thought it gave it time, and that's a match that you need to give it time. I don't like the rapid, like I mentioned earlier, the 2017 Survivor Series match. I just felt like it was rapid, like people would get eliminated instantly. And I don't like stuff like that. I love that they gave it time. I love that these storylines were kind of connecting in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. So I want to give 2016 SmackDown, Raw versus SmackDown, number one for me.
My number one's already been said as well. So I'm going to go back and give my honorable mention that I think should be there. It should be in my top 5. I did not put it there, but it should be there. And that's the very first Survivor Series match pay-per-view in 1987, where you did have Andre the Giant, Butch Reed, King Kong Bundy, the one-man gang, ravishing Rick Rude with Bobby Heenan and Slick, and they defeated Bam Bam Bigelow, Don Morocco, H.H. Ken Patera, and Paul Orndorff with Oliver Humperdinck. Just at that time, this was not seen in WWE. They were just so. And also throws away that you can put a lot of people in a match and have them all get paid and still have storylines progress, as you were just talking about with the Shield reunion and things like that. At that time, that was one of those things that happened. But my number one would be the same as what the executive consultants, myself. My number one, look at this match, winner take all at this time. And it's WWF versus Team Alliance. Remember, I talk about it constantly all the time when it comes to my favorite pay-per-views, Insurrection pay-per-view, when it was still the Alliance versus WWF at that time. And that match between RVD and Jeff Hardy, one of my favorite matches of all time. But look at this. You got Booker T. You got Stone Cold Steve Austin, who I've never been a fan of, but all respect to this guy. Shane McMahon, whether you like him or not, when he's in that bell, whether you like his fist punches are thrown out, he gets on a hell of a match. Kurt Angle, let's leave it right there. And look at that, got the Brothers of Destruction with the Big Show, The Rock. At this point, that's fresh out of a few movies at that point too. So he's a little bit more established. And then Chris Jericho. It's just a phenomenal match. One of my favorite Survivor Series match of all time. And so that's my version of the top 5 right here on Power Review. Executive Consultant, take us away.
Yeah, and that was a great number one from all of you all. Survivor Series matches are very underrated, and I always look forward to them every year. Unfortunately, there's not a traditional Survivor Series match coming up this Sunday. I understand why it will be kind of overkill with the 2 War Games matches. But if you have
Saturday, I just wanted to quit Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. So if you do have War Games, I think Survivor Series actually is the perfect pay-per-view for it. So Looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it. And,
We have a post show that Sunday morning.
we do have a post show that Sunday morning. And we have our prediction show Saturday afternoon with Wrestling Dawn, as well as Bad Guy Jack. And I think the exec consultant will be there as well. So please make sure you join us on all our shows.
Now. Come on.
Yeah. Make sure you join us on all our shows every single Monday. Mike Knox show, as well as Tuesday immediately after NXT with Bad Guy Jack there, as well as Captain Shakespeare. If you're a fan of Entertainment, you're a fan of MTV's Challenge later today on UPRE, we're going to have the Challenge review. So for King Knox, for Cran Booba, for Wrestling Dawn, I'm the executive consultant. We'll see you right here next time on A Popular Review. Good night, everyone.